Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Pleb Underground. Hope everybody had as good of a weekend as they could. Obviously, the fireworks are happening and the world is moving towards some crazy chaos. But guess what? We are here to talk about Bitcoin and what is going on in Bitcoin. I am your host, Phil. This is Pleb Underground, the signal without the slop. Let's fricking take a look, guys, because of all this noise, right? We're going to clear it all away. And what we've got is possibly a bull case that is hiding in the $1 trillion wreckage from the last 2 weeks. And we are going to take a look at that. Good morning, Silent Lamb. All right. Let's do it. Okay, so anyways, yeah, we got some solid hopium. Google searches are up. More on the Jane Street 10 a.m. dump theory. One of these metrics is actually one of the lowest Bitcoin readings ever. We are going to take a look at that. El Salvador launching Bitcoin Diploma 2.0. I didn't actually know there was a 1.0, but that doesn't really matter. What else? We've got Indiana's Bitcoin public retirement plans. What else? Is it possible? Is it possible to put a full validating node on your phone? We're going to take a look at that. I don't know if you guys saw, but Mark Karpelès, who was the CEO of MtGox, which is kind of funny because that the anniversary of MtGox was last week. Well, he put in a PR requesting, I should say a BIP, requesting the recovery of 79,000 Bitcoin. That's interesting, very interesting. It's not going to happen, but that's interesting. Korean government. Saw that last week. Want to take a look at that story. Didn't get to do the news on Friday, so I want to cover it. And the dystopian future of digital IDs, proof of personhood, all that good stuff, it's coming a whole lot sooner than we think. We are going to take a look at something having to do with that. And guys, get ready. It's a big show. A whole lot of stuff happened over the weekend. So sit back. Let's frickin' go.
Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium.
All right. Let's see how we're doing here. All right, so Bitcoin price, Bitcoin fiat exchange, 69,465. Look at that, huh? Bitcoin going up on this news. It's almost as though not being controlled or owned by any specific government is one of Bitcoin's superpowers. Almost. Anyways, block height, 939,026. 4 sats per V-byte. Say it ain't so. Oh my gosh. Not 4 sats per V-bytes. Who's going to be able to afford these coffees? Looks like our total public lightning capacity also went up 5,704. Just a little bit, but it's okay. It's enough to give us some solid hope. Okay. Anyways, let's move on, guys. That's right. Here we go. Some solid hopium. This is like 2017 hopium. Okay. That's what this is. How to buy Bitcoin are now at 5-year highs. Nah, I'll take it. I'll take it, but it's just a nothing burger. I remember when this was a decent carrot on the end of the stick back in like 2017, 2018. It's like, look, retail is coming. All right. So the Jane Street 10 a.m. dump theory. That's right. We are going to go to tradfi for some signal on this one. Matt Hoogan from Bitwise. Let's hear what he has to say.
Crypto is down is because people who held Bitcoin at the start of 20.
He has to mention crypto because he's got a bunch of different products. But make no mistake, the 10 a.m. dump, it's all about Bitcoin. It's always just about Bitcoin.
25 sold it That's it. That's the reason crypto is down. The problem is actually in the mirror. It's not someone outside. It's us looking at each other and saying, like, we crypto sold Bitcoin and the price went down. I think the Jane Street story has to be fractured into multiple different parts if you want to dig into it. So there's the Terra Luna question, right? Terra Luna was doomed from the start. There's a reason Bitwise never.
So, I mean, okay, so look, Terra Luna was a few years ago, right? So nobody's questioning any kind of messing around then, but it doesn't really play a role as to what has happened in, let's say, the last few months.
Put it in our index, right? It was doomed from the start. And the question of whether Jane Street used insider information to profit on it is something that we'll find out in court. I have no particular view. The question of whether there is some weird magical arbitrage between Jane Street and how ETFs are created and a 10 a.m. dump just has no actual logical path if you know how ETFs function. There's literally no way for Jane Street to profit in the ETF market because they're dumping. I've seen so many terrible takes that are just not backed by how ETFs work. I come from
the mental gymnastics that people do to justify why they need to believe what it is that they think. It's like, and this is, and that's the piece of it that people just don't want to accept, that there's multiple market participants. Market participants are incentivized to use the tools that they have available to them. It's plain and simple, right? So for example, for a business like Jane Street, which can legally create shares without purchasing the underlying asset, it's cheaper for them to do that. It's significantly more lucrative for them to do that. To think for a second that they aren't going to do that, if they can, that's blind nonsense.
I was CEO of ETF.com, so that story is untrue. The question in the middle is, did Jane Street ever look at leverage markets and create a cascade of liquidations to put the price? That's a broader question in crypto, right? A lot of people have said forever that the fact that you can see the leverage liquidation levels in the market causes some people to create cascades in those markets. I don't know. But the latest iteration that there is this weird nexus between Jane Street ETFs and a 10 a.m. dump that we only found out about after the fact, that one is just false. So these other two, I don't know, but that one is just false.
I mean, I've listened to several different bigger traders about these positions that people take, and to a certain extent, right? Like Matt, obviously, I think he's not incentivized to say this, but guess what? I'm not paid by Wall Street or any of these people, so I can say whatever the hell I want. But the reality is that when you are a market participant, right, and you decide to take a long position, if you think for a second that other market participants don't see your liquidity down there, like that's just naive, right? It's just completely naive. So yeah, like there is rhyme or reason as to why these price points get wiped out or get filled. Like it's not, it's this weird thing where if the price is going up, it's price discovery. Oh, that's it. Bitcoin is just, it's not being manipulated. But if the price goes down, Bitcoin is manipulated. Like, to take a hypocritical stance like that for yourself, it's actually dangerous. Like, you are going to get wrecked. Like, you are going to wreck yourself with that line of thinking. Anyways, to each their own, but I'm just saying. Anyways, let's continue on with the hopium. We've always, right, there's so much more hopium. So here we go, guys. Here we go. Bitcoin is now near one of the lowest readings ever on the RSI, the Relative Strength Index. And this usually indicates if an asset or equity or whatever it is either overbought, right? Too much market exuberance. People are paying too high of a price, or it's oversold. The future is bleaker than everybody believes, or let me rephrase that. Everybody believes the future is much bleaker and they dump, right? Like that's all that means. Okay. So right now what this tells us is we're at a bottom. So essentially, and that doesn't mean the bottom can't reset, right? Like anybody who has ever traded any equities and has followed relative strength indexes, you know that the RSI can just reset. So anyways, it looks good. I want it to be the bottom, right? I want it to be the bottom. I want people to be excited that maybe this time it's a little bit different, right? I want to feel that it's that it's a little bit different. So anyways, good stuff there. RSI, let's do it. RSI looking good. Yeah, boom, bottom. And then of course, right, we can see what happened. Every single other time it has bottomed, we did major reversal. So I'll take it. I'll take the reversals. Why not? Taking all the reversals. All right, guys, here we go. More tradfi hopium. Citibank. Citibank's a big player. Big world player. Citi will be launching our infrastructure that integrates Bitcoin into tradfi. Let's take a listen.
As we move into the world of 24/7 assets like Bitcoin, we definitely need 24/7 US dollar or 24/7 digital money. And all our systems and processes are also being uplifted into 24/7 support. Like we absolutely need that. So in some sense, we are back to the world of Citi never sleeps. So this is the one big idea, to make Bitcoin bankable. Later this year, Citi will be launching our infrastructure that integrates Bitcoin into traditional finance. So we're going to start with core custody and safekeeping capabilities, institutional grade, key management and wallet infrastructure. So what does it actually mean?
It means they want to custody your Bitcoin. That's what it means.
To make Bitcoin bankable. Three things. First,
make Bitcoin bankable. That's what. I'm sorry, that is just such nonsense. The whole point is that you didn't need a bank. Now, it's not to say that banks weren't going to use Bitcoin, of course, but this is, of course, right? This is the bed of Procrustes. I haven't mentioned that in a long time, right? This is what it is. We're going to take Bitcoin. We're going to cut off its arms, its legs, its head. It's going to be this thing. We're going to stick it in a box. Stick it in the box.
as we said, institutional grade custody and key management infrastructure. We also will be bringing Bitcoin into the fold of the $30 trillion of traditional assets that our clients entrust with us today. So it'll be the same framework that's applied and now brought to Bitcoin. We will be offering our clients
It's the same framework, the let's stick your Bitcoin in a prison framework.
a single service model across crypto, securities, and money. What this would mean is we will be feeding the Bitcoin positions through the same reporting channels and frameworks and tax workflows that traditional securities fold into. We've heard from our clients, like they don't want to handle wallets and keys and one-time addresses. So we will take care of those problems.
Ah, yeah. They're going to take care of that. I'll be so happy to offer custodial services. Stick your Bitcoin in the nice, safe, walled garden. It's going to keep your Bitcoin protected. You don't want to think about key management. You know how hard that is? There's no way that there's a whole bunch of material on the internet for free. There's no way that there's like a BTC sessions video, step-by-step instructions about that somebody can watch for like 15 minutes and figure it out. No way. Don't think about that stuff. You've got enough problems. Just trust the institutions. It's good. It's good. The institutions are great. All right. Hey, good morning, plastic. Good morning, plastic. Oh, look at this, guys. Tango. BIP 110 first block mined. Here we go. Let's we're gonna start the party. It's gonna get real interesting. And get ready. This is gonna be so much fun. There already is so much fun. Yeah, I'm just gonna refrain from continuing on that right now. Anyways, yeah. Was that Silent Lamb? Yeah, you're also not a fan of the... yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, of course they want to bring us in, man. They want everybody in the fold. Why not? Why not, right? Just get everybody in the fold. Okay. Anyways, let's continue on because here comes some solid hopium, guys. This was the whole point, right? The $1 trillion wreckage. Somewhere in this wreckage, there's the Bitcoin bull market. And we are uncovering all the garbage in the wreckage to find the Bitcoin bull run. And we may have located it. We may have located the Bitcoin bull run. Hey, good morning, Hard Hodl. That's right. Stack sats, stay humble. The noise is the noise. All right, let's dive into it. Bitcoin has been cut almost in half since its October high. Yeah, I noticed. By almost every measure, the sell-off is the worst since the collapse of FTX. This is where the signal lies, my friends. But there is a puzzle at the center of this wreckage. The institutional scaffolding that was built around the coin during the boom hasn't come down with it. That's correct. And this is what I've been saying for a while. This was one of my main reasons for me saying I didn't think that we were done at 127K, because we didn't get these institutions that blew up, that over leveraged themselves in a major way. So, good morning, Verhoofdy. Okay, so here we go, guys. Look at that chart. That is nasty. Right? That is nasty. Bitcoin lost $1 trillion in market cap, and here we are dead at 69.3. I love how Bitcoin dies as it goes up. It's fantastic. There's that great video on YouTube, right? And then it crashed. Like that. That's fantastic stuff. All right, let's keep going here. So we all know the bearish case for Bitcoin needs no help, right? We hear the people on Twitter, if you don't sell now, you're going to sell at 40K, Bitcoin to 35K, Bitcoin goes to 15K, blah, blah, blah. That's okay. Good, great. So we know the bearish case needs no help. After Wednesday's rebound, right, from last week, Bitcoin weakened Thursday morning in Asia trading, falling as much as 1.9% to about 67K, a far cry from its October peak above 126. Stop rubbing it in, okay? Yet contrarians say those outflow numbers need context, and I agree. Brett Munster, that's a great last name. It's one of the Munsters. Anyways, at Blockforce Capital, I'm old, so only old people are really going to know that. At Blockforce Capital points out that cumulative net inflows into spot Bitcoin ETFs since their January 2024 launch amount to tens of billions of dollars. The chunk that has left in the recent streak comes out to just about 6%. Guys, that's almost nothing. That's almost nothing. So that means regardless of what the Jane Streets have been doing, the actual ETF shareholders have not been selling their shares en masse. That's what that tells us. That's the signal. And again, I don't care that these guys hold shares. It's not actual Bitcoin. However, this is part of our market dynamics. So if we ignore it, we're just being naive. There's no point. Like we need to not ignore it. Doesn't mean we have to say it's extremely important, but we do need to acknowledge it. That's the key. Anyways, whoops. The pattern is clear evidence of consolidation rather than capitulation among this investor base, adding that 17 of the top 25 largest Bitcoin ETF holders added to their positions in the fourth quarter. So that's right, guys. While we were dipping, these guys are buying the dip. Now, bulls point beyond the ETF data to what happened the last time Bitcoin fell this hard in 2022. And this is exactly true. I've told you guys, I am a perma bull. So for me, this is exactly what I did. I looked back at this stuff and again, right, this is just validating my hopium. So anyways, here we go. In 2022, the infrastructure first wobbled, then disintegrated. True. FTX, Celsius, BlockFi, Three Arrows, Cap, all blew up in rapid succession. Don't forget about Signature Bank and Silicon Valley Bank. Wiping out not just capital, but the custodians, lenders, and exchanges the market depended on. Confidence was incinerated. This time, nothing big has broken. To me, that's the signal. The exchanges are running. Yeah, they were running last time too, though, for the most part. The custodians are solvent. Most likely, yeah. And the banks, far from retreating, are accelerating. That's right. This part of the story is different. While retail is supposedly done with Bitcoin, you're seeing all of these institutions build rails, which is something I have been saying for years, right? Like they are not going to do this for nothing. These are the rails they are building before the big marketing pushes come, right? They want to make sure that the circus is set up so when the crowd shows up, right, they can charge at the door. It's just logic, right? Build it and they will come. Nobody ever saw Wayne's World. Anyways, the custodians are solvent. The banks, far from retreating, are accelerating. More than half of the largest U.S. banks have announced crypto-related products or are in the process of working on offerings, according to Bitcoin financial services firm River. I'm bullish. I'm bullish. All right. Let's take a look at what Indiana's doing here. So, Indiana greenlights Bitcoin for public retirement funds. House approves 5933. Now awaits the governor's signature. Okay, so let's see here. What's their thing doing? Are they stealing the Bitcoin or what? Indiana lawmakers approved a bill allowing public retirement and savings plans to invest in digital assets and spot crypto ETFs. In a separate measure, Indiana legislators voted to ban crypto ATMs statewide after law enforcement reported rising fraud, including about 400,000 in related scams in Evansville in 2025. I mean, so look, obviously scams are scams. That's crap. It's kind of interesting though, right? I kind of feel as though, and correct me if I'm wrong, it does seem a bit like a bait and switch. It's saying, listen, okay, we're going to let you have access to these Bitcoin products, but this is one of the concessions you have to make, right? And one of the concessions is no Bitcoin ATMs. We'll see if that actually goes through. If you ask me, I think it's going to be a matter of push and pull, right? We'll see if that actually comes to fruition, but it does seem a little bit extreme. We'll see what happens. All right, let's take a look at what's happening in El Salvador, guys. So the El Salvador Bitcoin Diploma 2.0. All right, let's see what's happening there. The National Bitcoin Office, ONBTC, of El Salvador recently announced the completion of its Bitcoin Diploma 2.0 educational program, an overhaul of prior attempts to bring Bitcoin and money concepts to Salvadoran public schools. The program, developed in partnership with innovation agency WeSpark, explains the story of money and the rise of Bitcoin in the simplest way possible, avoiding technical jargon. Hey, good stuff, El Salvador. I really do wish that more countries would take the example of El Salvador in terms of the and again, I'm not talking about their politics or anything like that. I am strictly just talking about Bitcoin. Okay, it's simping for the state is a down. It is just a down bad move. Okay, so I think that we can congratulate people for doing good things that move, let's say, culture in a positive direction, but simping for the state never ends well. It never ends well at all. But again, like I was saying, I would like to see other countries decide to take Bitcoin more seriously and provide some Bitcoin education. And I get it. They're not incentivized to do that, right? Like if you've got a government that issues money and hasn't made Bitcoin legal tender, it's very difficult to sit there and tell people, use our money, but at the same time, you're going to want to save in Bitcoin because we're making you broke with our money. So yeah, I get it. They're not incentivized, and that's okay. That's okay. Eventually they will be. Okay, so coming out of Bitcoin plus, right? So for the people who don't know, Nifty Nye, she goes pretty much like all around the world doing Bitcoin plus, having this amazing dev conference. I was fortunate enough to be a part of it a couple of years ago with Walton, and I really enjoyed it. It was absolutely amazing to be surrounded by all of these builders in and around Bitcoin and listening to these discussions. So here we go. This is one of the big questions, though. I believe that somebody in a space, a Twitter space last week was asking about this. Would we ever get a full validating node on your phone? Now, I'm not 100% sure how desirable this is. However, why not? Right? Why not? Let's make Bitcoin easier. Let's make it more portable if we can. However, we do need to acknowledge trade-offs. There are always trade-offs. Anyways, is a full validating Bitcoin node inside your phone possible? So Luis of Bitcoin DevKit shows Floresta and U3XO turning BDK into a super lightweight zero trust chain source. Now, I am not an expert by any expanse of the imagination on U3XO. However, I was very fortunate to watch Tajay Drija do one of his first talks in 2019 about it at the MIT Bitcoin Expo. And if I'm not mistaken, U3XO uses, I don't know if it's Neutrino or if they're pruning the blockchain, but I know that there is obviously a trade-off in order to be able to get that data to work properly, on a cell phone. But I also think that something that we're not taking into consideration, or maybe I am not taking into consideration, memory is getting cheaper. Okay, that's what's happening. Memory always gets cheaper. Hard drives always get cheaper over the long run. I get it right now. You might be like, Phil, that's not true. RAM is super expensive right now. Yeah, I get it. RAM is super expensive right now. However, we'll talk again in a few years. I just, essentially, from the time that I started building computers, all of these parts have just gotten cheaper and cheaper and cheaper as we get to increase more and more capacity. So the whole point I'm making is that having a full node on the phone, I don't see that as something super outlandish. Like, that is coming. Yeah, Bitcoin Blitz. I don't disagree. However, anyways, to each their own. I've already isolated enough people from being honest with my take, and that's okay. I don't really care. I'm not here to make friends anyways. I came here originally for sound money. That was the whole point, right? The whole point was because I was debanked and I found Bitcoin and I was like, hey, the government can't debank me. And now all of a sudden we've got all this other drama. But yeah, man, it's Bitcoin Blitz. It is going to play out, and just get ready. Ought to be interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, we are moving on. Speaking of BIPs, like I said last week, 12th anniversary of MtGox. Never forget the guy who claims that Bitcoin was hijacked, Roger Ver, vouched for MtGox, stood in front of a camera and lied. Okay? Never forget that. So while some people sit there and think, oh, he's the Bitcoin Jesus, and he was, this person that was just all there for Bitcoin, like, you got to understand, this was an ego thing, okay? This guy had made himself incredibly important to Bitcoin. And so he believed that he could co-opt Bitcoin. He believed that he could push the narrative and force it. And in the end, he ended up on a shit fork. There is a lesson there, guys. There's a lesson there. And then look at the rhetoric that Roger Ver said. Bitcoin Core is hijacked. Does that sound familiar? Right? Want to buy coffee with Bitcoin? You want to make sure that everybody's buying coffee with Bitcoin? Nobody gives a shit about buying coffee with Bitcoin. And the people that do can do it. They can. Anyways, okay. So he wants to fork so he can get his 79,000 coins, but not his, right? The whole thing is that under the guise of altruism, right? These people should be able to get their coins back, blah, 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 all this stuff. Censorship resistant ledger. Nope. This is exactly the point. If Bitcoin could do this, I would not be here. Because who's to say that they're not going to hand, right? Who's to say that some central entity isn't just going to go and hand their favorite person in Bitcoin a whole bunch of coins? Why not? And then at that point, so look, if Mark gets his 79K back, not his, but the ones from his exchange back, well, maybe I want some coins back too. And I spoke to a few Bitcoiners over the weekend. They got scammed in certain things. They want their coins back too. Where does it end? It's just nonsense. Obviously, he's not getting this. Obviously, this is just like a cry harder moment for him. But yeah, I definitely think it's funny. I definitely think he's not going to get that back. And that is a very important lesson as to why you cannot trust exchanges. Sorry, not sorry. I got wrecked on an exchange too. It's not like I'm sitting here and being like, it's just because it never happened to you. No, it's happened to me too. And guess what? I had to deal with it, right? I took personal responsibility for it. Speaking of personal responsibility, I bet you the Korean government's, shout out to, I think it was Psy and TK that tagged me in this one. Be the Korean government. Confiscate crypto wallets of people who owe millions in taxes. Be proud and show seed phrases on the public report. We caught them. Wonder why funds somehow disappeared. I think that is absolutely fantastic. Another great example of how wanting to flex can actually burn you. So obviously, right, the state wants to prove that they are effective. Too bad nobody working for the state understood what they were doing, because immediately they would have, at the very least, covered the seed words. Now, it does bring up an interesting point, though. Are they going to now arrest the people who stole are they going to go after the people who stole the coins out of those seized wallets? Could get interesting. Could get very meta over there in it could get very meta. All right, guys. The Bitcoin ATM providers. Let's take a look at this, right? This is another piece, right? So this doesn't have to do with the Indiana legislation. This is separate, okay? So Bitcoin ATM provider Bitcoin Depot, right? This is specifically about Bitcoin Depot. They operate over 8,500 to 9,000 Bitcoin ATM kiosks across North America. The majority of them are in the States. So Bitcoin Depot is going to begin requiring ID for every transaction. Okay? A practice that could soon become law under the Clarity Act. This was always one of the goals, guys. As Cato Institute warns its latest market structure analysis, according to Cato Institute, the Clarity Act would regulate Bitcoin ATMs under the Bank Secrecy Act and require any device to be labeled as a money transmitter business. There you go. Require to limit activity to one customer per account. Require to hold the money for 72 hours before allowing the customer to send money. So censorship. Requiring to set transaction limits, required to blacklist wallets, required to report locations of ATMs, required to report company information, and required to show a disclosure on screen about fraud that customers must acknowledge. I mean, look, the fraud thing, that's fine. It's just you're trying to stop people from hurting themselves. But it's all of this other stuff, right? It's all of this other encroachment on your own personal freedom, which and of course, right, it's always to stop crime, right? It's always for the greater good. It's always that if you don't support this, then you are an enemy of the state. You are an enemy of your country, whatever it is that shames you into compliance. Okay? But make no mistake, none of that stuff is real. None of that stuff is real. It's all about power consolidation and control. That's all it is. It's really all it is. And of course, as we know, right, while they're making Bitcoin ATMs provide more tracking, in some instances, we've got states making Bitcoin ATMs illegal. These two guys wrote software to preserve privacy. Okay? Yeah, exactly, plastic. It's always for the protection of the children. You can actually, sadly, okay, the reality is that humans can produce some of the worst atrocities under the guise of that. And I mean, Simpsons made that joke a long time ago, right? I forget who it was. I think it's Ned's wife or something like that. Every single time somebody comes out with something, oh, won't somebody please think about the children? So look, that is unfortunately, right? It is the appeal to emotion, and it's because it's so strong, right? That is a human being, a young human being that is innocent, right? So they must be protected, and then it creates this blanket that everything that you can do, even if it's tyrannical, even if it's dangerous to everyone else, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference, right? Because you're doing it for the greater good. So many of humanity's atrocities have been done under the guise of the greater good. I'm not saying all of them have, but many of them have. Anyways, consider signing the petition if you haven't. Consider donating if you can. Guys, that does it. That does it for today's news. Thank you for hanging out with me. And don't forget, this evening, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I don't know if it's standard time. It doesn't matter. It's Eastern time. 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. I've got Sir Ulrich, Humble Warrior, and myself. We're going to be sitting down for Bitcoin tonight. It should be a really fun chat. I hope all of you guys join us. And of course, we have the live chat going. So if you want to jump in, call us fools, call me a fool, whatever it is, come and join. Let's do it. Anyways, have a great rest of the day. I'll catch you guys later. Take it easy.